Join me today as we talk about the tariff wars and how 50 countries are beating on the door of Donald Trump to negotiate those price increases. The sale of TikTok, is it actually going to happen? And is it going to be free speech on this platform? And the stock market really isn't as bad as the media is telling you it is. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, the tariff war has just started. People are in panic mode. They are complaining about the stock market going down, and they just don't know which way is up or which way is down. You've got Senator Rand Paul, Senator Ted Cruz coming out against the tariffs. You got Republican congressmen trying to put a bill to keep Trump from putting these tariffs in place and pulling that power back from Donald Trump. And I think it's insane that they're doing this. This has never been done to the level that Trump has done it. It's new. And for all those that are in Congress or in the Senate, none of these guys are really businessmen. They have no idea. They just know from history, or maybe it doesn't work this way. It is called fair trade. These are just reciprocal tariffs. And people are talking about, McDonald Island, that they put a tariff on, and there's only like penguins on this particular island. Well, they did that. They put tariffs on every part of the world so that China can't circumvent the regulation and start exporting from these weird areas that aren't under the tariff clause. So he has everything covered. He's been thinking about this for 4 years. And in 93, Donald Trump was saying the same thing about tariffs when he was on the Oprah Winfrey Show. They don't want to trade with us. And a country that doesn't produce anything is going to be a doomed country. And right now, we import a lot of our goods. So some of these countries decide, hey, we're not going to do anything for the United States anymore. We're going to shut off all of this trade with the United States. What's going to happen to our country? Right now, this is causing trillions of dollars to flow back into the United States from companies that have refused to go with the tariffs and said, you know what? It's probably cheaper to go ahead and build a manufacturing plant here in the United States. The goal was to get this everything regulated and done by 2028. That's their goal. Some of these tariffs that he's implementing, they'll all start coming to the table. I read there's about 50 different countries that have already called Donald Trump to negotiate the tariffs. Of course they're going to do that. We're the number one importer of goods. And if we decide to hit these other countries with these large tariffs, they're going to have problems and their economies can crash. So 50 countries have already called Donald Trump to start getting negotiations done. And I get it. The stock market's crashing. Everybody's in a panic mode. You can see right here on this chart in 2020, 2024, the stock market was lower than it is right now. And, Donald Trump got the big bump when he got elected in the office, and then it's come down a little bit. And people are criticizing it's all Donald Trump's fault. Nobody was saying anything when Joe Biden did that to our economy. Nobody. They were saying, oh, just give us some time. Things will get back to normal. It fluctuates in the market. But since Donald Trump is a president now and he put all these tariffs in there, everybody's on panic mode thinking the economy is going to crash. It's not going to crash. The news can't get out of their own way. They continually try to sell you that the world is going to hate the United States. They're not going to trade with us. It's going to create even a more deficit for our country. That's what the news wants you to do. Because the big people that are in charge, the elitists, the globalists, those are the ones that are in panic mode. Did you know that billionaires made more money under Joe Biden? They all made more money because banks had more of an interest rate on their mortgages. Who do you think made money on that? Right? The big banks, the billionaires, the oligarchs. Billionaires made even more money under the Joe Biden administration. And now under Donald Trump, the middle class is going to start getting some relief. The Secretary of the Treasury came out in an interview with Tucker Carlson, and he said the top 10% of American households own 88% of the total equities owned by American households. The next 40% of the households own 12%. This means the bottom 50% of Americans have zero interest in the stock market. That's right. 50% of the country has zero interest in the stock market. And those people have to worry about their mortgages, have to worry about their car payments. A lot of them are even renting homes. They don't even own their own homes because they can't get into the housing market because the interest rates are so high. Those people need relief. And that's what these tariffs are going to do. They're going to even the playing field so our country starts making more things in the United States and starts exporting stuff. Our oil has gone down. Our oil prices are the lowest they've been since 2021. Things are starting to reshape very quickly. And the left is trying to tell you that Trump's evil, his ideas are horrible, and some people on the right, the congressmen, they're saying the tariffs are evil. These are all a plan. This has been in the works for 4 years, and Donald Trump has thought long and hard about all this stuff, and it's going to work. I believe it's going to work. It's already working. So the way the economy is starting to reshape itself, it's going to happen quickly because there isn't a lot of time left. Because remember, the midterms start in about 18 months. These guys are going to start running for their reelection for midterms. They're not going to care what's going on in the government. They're worried about getting reelected. So it's going to be very difficult to get anything passed during that time. Now, some of these tariffs and some of these rules right now need to get implemented by Congress. And I did a podcast the other day. Congress isn't doing their job. They need to get there and need to start making these things a permanent law, because these executive orders will be flipped over by another president in 4 years. And hopefully we get another Republican president that's on that tariff trade side, and he's under the tutelage of Donald Trump, and he continues all these things. But if we don't get Congress to act, this is all going to be for nothing, and it needs to start happening, because right now, the way the economy is going, the way it has been going over the last 30, 40 years by the unfair trade balance, it's time to even it up. And that's what Donald Trump is doing with these tariffs. Look, even the new Prime Minister of Canada came back and he's backpedaling what he said, how the relationship with the United States is over. And he even said that the United States is the most important security ally. Of course we are. They all try to talk tough for the media and for sound bites, but it really comes down to it. They all have to cave. They do. We're $27 trillion GDP, the largest in the world. And I know you can say all the EU countries, the 27 countries that make up the EU. I get it. They're not a whole country. There are several countries that are put together. We're talking about just the United States, and we bring in more goods than anywhere else. So we have to start manufacturing things here in the United States again. And that's what these tariffs are going to do. For everybody freaking out about it, just hold on. We'll see what happens over the next 45 to 60 days and watch. I bet you it's going to be sooner than that most of these countries come to the playing field and they're going to get rid of all the tariffs. They're going to drop them. And then we're going to keep 10% tariffs on all these countries. That's probably going to be our minimum tariff on them, because we need to bring in money to the United States if we're going to get rid of the IRS. If we want an external revenue service, we got to bring in that money somewhere, and that's going to come from the tariffs and the 10% on those products that we bring into the United States. And it looks like the deadline for TikTok came and went this Saturday again, and Trump extended it for another 75 days. There's going to be some companies out there that are going to do some negotiations that have been on the sidelines. There's a couple of them out there right now. I'm not going to name which ones they are because it could change tomorrow. But there are some companies that are talking about purchasing the TikTok app. But, the whole algorithm is owned by China. So China may not want to give the algorithm up or in a sale. So that's going to have to come into play. Trump also announced that maybe he'd lower some of the tariffs on China if China negotiates and gives the algorithm and allows the sale of TikTok to go through. But here's the thing. I don't know what side of the aisle that you go on, left or right, but there's a lot of influencers that are on the right-leaning side that are getting significantly throttled here on this app. It's very noticeable. I'm relatively new. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I've noticed over the last 3 to 4 weeks that my decline has been significant as far as the amount of followers that I get. I typically get a few hundred followers every single week. And at this point, sometimes it's maybe 1 a day, 2 a day. It's significantly noticeable. And I'm not the only one. Even some of these larger influencers are having the exact same issues. Some of their accounts have restrictions on them. I even try to promote some of my clips just to see what happens, because I'm not getting any traction. I even had a graph that I talked about on one of my clips talking about the housing market, and about 10.5% of people that own homes are behind on their mortgages nationwide, which is the most it's probably ever been in the United States in recorded history since we've been monitoring this stuff. This has been happening since 2024. And I just had a simple graph, put out some facts, and I try to promote that simple clip, and TikTok wouldn't allow it because they said it violated some type of standard. So they are throttling right-leaning creators. I don't know what's going to go on with this sale or purchase of this app, but whoever purchases it needs to make sure this is free speech, because this app is not free speech. It isn't. People get throttled. People get their comments taken down. Things that you post get taken down. You get a restriction on your account that you don't even know of. And there's really no way you can appeal it, but they don't really give you any clarification on why it happened. And you can't call anybody. That's out of the question. And if whoever's looking at your account and they don't agree with it and they decide with their own opinion that they don't like what you said, your appeal doesn't go through. Now, I've been lucky. All my appeals have gone through, but there's some of them are so ludicrous that why should I have to appeal it anyway? Because it was nothing. It was simply talking about the housing market. And I can't even promote it. Like, I was going to pay to promote it and it wouldn't let me allow it. So if you're a content creator out there and you're right-leaning, try that. If you're not getting any traction, pay to promote one of your clips and see what happens. I bet you they don't allow it to go through, because that's been the problem that I've been noticing. And a lot of right-leaning commentators are having the same issue. So whoever purchases this app in the next 75 days, and hopefully they get it done sooner than that, will make this a true free speech platform. And free speech doesn't protect. And free speech is to protect the speech you do not like, whether you like it or not. Everybody should have free reign to be able to say whatever they want. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. A lot of people comment on my things, call me all kinds of names. You should see some of the other apps that I'm on. This one, at least TikTok, filters some of those, but I don't care. I like getting those comments. It makes me laugh a little bit when I see negative comments, people calling me names and cursing at me. I chuckle at it, because everybody's, 6'4", 260 pounds when you got a cell phone in your hand and you don't have to actually confront anybody face to face. But free speech is free speech. And you should be allowed to comment on any content I create, whether you like it or not, positive or negative. So we'll see what happens with TikTok in the next 75 days. Hopefully somebody buys it and they allow free speech like some of the other platforms out there. That's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, and some good old fashioned conversation. Click, like, subscribe, hit those notification buttons. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.